And we return, the continuing saga of the water over everybody's lawn, or at least a couple of people here at the end of Belknap Mountain Road and Gilford Glen Road. Since the last time we had this happen, over just before the winter time, the town has come out a couple of weeks ago and decided that they were going to do a lot of work along the stream, if you want to call it, which we can see. And they brought out a backhoe, did a lot of scraping out and such. And you can see that with the big rainstorm of a couple of days ago and the sprinkles yesterday, that there is quite a bit of water struggling through this whole area. And we end up at the culvert, which we can see both from the east and from the north. We get a confluence of the water coming through. Now I will tell you that they spent quite a bit of time, as you can see with the dug up mud and the slope banks, that the town did spend quite a bit of time, at least on the opening part of this culvert, which you can see here. And if you listen carefully, you can hear some of the water going through. The question is, how long will this stay free of debris? And that we don't know. And the culvert runs underneath, as you can tell by the crack in the road here, that there was certainly a bit of upheaval here. And in fact, we can see where a lot of this torrent came through. The town is marking it off, saying, okay, we have to fix stuff around here. And we can start to see where the road was basically just taken out with where these cones are. And quite a bit of a swath. As we get closer, we can see that there is quite the amount of water coming out now of this side of the culvert. And it's clear that, well, I'm not quite sure that you can see. So let's see if we can zoom in a little bit. But the culvert was rebuilt with plastic piping. On the other side, not so much. There's still a fair amount of water coming through. And it does pool up. And this is where this overflowed its banks and basically ripped out most of what was here for the road. Gaping hole, and where you see this temporary patch, basically it even exposed all the cables underneath. This runs along the frontage of another home. Until it goes underneath the driveway, which you can see right there in the middle of the frame. Underneath. Sorry for the confusion on the camera here. It's not quite working the way that I would like it to. Need more practice, I guess. But you can still see where the road was undermined here. And then you can see the culvert over on this side, aka the swale, that was talked about during the selectmen's meeting a few months ago when they finally agreed that they were going to fix the Nedeau property, because this is where the problem, one part of the problem started. You can see that the swale is very much taken up and really has silted in. Now I'm going to walk down through here So give me just a couple of moments, if you would. Thorns. I'm not going to walk through the thorns. So we're going to go out and around. Dang rose bushes. But you can see as I'm going through another way down that this whole area of the road down to the next house was basically taken out. So let's go down to the swale. And I'm going to try to walk along it. And you can see that it's in really rough shape. Really bad. So I'm just going to walk along without commentary and let you take it, because I just want a video representation of how it looks now going into Donna Nedeau's property without killing myself on all of the detritus and debris that's along the way here. And as you can tell, there's been a lot of stones, debris, and what have you that has gathered up over the last amount of time. And this is kind of what got overflowed. See? And you can see how it has built up and very narrow channeled. And if you notice, you can see what happened when things went south. And this culvert, or this swale actually, didn't work the way it was supposed to, because it has undermined the outbuildings that the Nedeaus have. This one's right on the edge, but if you look closely, you can see that the ground has been eroded from underneath and the building doesn't have much of a support. And that the swale itself has really widened out, and it took out the banking underneath. Now I'm going to go out and around. And all of this dirt that you're seeing now used to be very lush grass. And yes, they lost an outbuilding over the winter time. Because of the onrush of the wood, the water, and all the rest of the debris. It's been cleared away. And then it basically flattens out. Let me go to the front. As I approach the front of the property, we can see the remnants. And I'll go back up what would be upstream, but we can see that the amount of water that was coming off the culvert made a second entrance into the swale, and it joined down that way. But you can see all of the dirt and all of the damage that it has done to the front yard coming down the street, because that culvert was not properly maintained, in my humble opinion. And yes, the town did come out once again to remind you a couple of weeks ago to start surveying and to review what had happened. But this is a big part of the problem. And I haven't even gotten back to the street part yet. And I will tell you that it is a mess. This is going to cost quite a bit of money in order to put right, because the town's I'm searching for the right word. I would say because the culvert wasn't kept correctly. And I will tell you, I helped Mrs. Nedeau this summer with snow blowing and shoveling. And a lot of it came through on the lawn here. This is part of it, all of this dirt. I know because I ran into it as I was shoveling and snow blowing. All of this dirt on the driveway is left over from the runover that came from the swale, which if I kept on going straight, you would see it as well. But let's go back up the other way. Here's another part of the land where the water came through and basically ripped it all up. Came down the road. It doesn't take an awful lot of water, an awful lot of slope to create a force that's going to wipe out pretty much everything. Most people don't seem to understand that, but I will tell you, having lived across the street, none of this rock pile has been here before, or was here before the winter time. This is all taken out. And as you can see, the town had to rebuild or fill in a lot of what was the lip of the road. And it's going to have to be redone, re-asphalted all the way through. So as I walk along, we can see that the markings that the town put in to be able to begin reconstruction. And we go up. And I'll be honest with you folks, here's one of the power stations and the little towers for communications. I'm just glad it didn't wipe that out or seeped into it, because bad things would have happened. So we're going to see what happens. Tomorrow night is the next selectmen's meeting. I'm glad to have gotten this.
Croc TV.